And thanks for joining us here on PM Express. And as you know, we are some 12 days to the big day. D-Day is approaching. And as you know, everybody is out there campaigning. Even the Council of Elders members of both parties are out there doing the bit to try and secure victories for their respective parties. And he is one of those who is going to be on the ground. But he's joining me tonight, Kyerematen Owusu-Agyeman, with 12 days to go. A few things we're going to be talking about tonight. As you know, the NPP is targeting 85%, to be very precise, in its campaign to retain power. Never happened before in our history, right? For a party to attempt to break the eight. In the Ashanti region, they need that. They need that desperately to hold on to the reins of power. Can they do that? We'll pick his thoughts. After all, he is the chairman of the party's Council of Elders. Managing the Kyerematen, as you know, the Kyerematen, the Nana Bediako factor, it's an issue for the NPP. They've never had to deal with this before in terms of the gravitas that Alan held before he gone independent. That obviously is going to eat into the ranks in the Ashanti region. How is the party dealing with that? And the Council of Elders have been playing a role in this. What role exactly have they been playing? We're trying to find out from him. And then there's a possible run-off scenario, which, as we know, once it happens, always is going against the incumbent party. The NPP will want to avoid that going into the elections. And then you have the impact of the NPP MPs who are going independent. There's so many of them, indeed, across the country. This is an issue that I know the Council of Elders had attempted to try and mediate, to convince some of them to come back onto the party's ticket or simply drop out for their chosen person in the primary to run. And that is not yielding enough fruits. As we see in the Ashanti region, there are more than 20 independent candidates spread across several constituencies. That can be damaging for the NPP. Many of them, of course, are people who have leanings and affiliations with the NPP. Kyerematen Owusu-Agyeman, by the way, is a man who's done it all. He's been in the parliament. He understands how the game is played. And he himself has said that losing is not an option in this particular elections and will do everything to win. Well, what is everything? He will define that tonight here on PMX, so stay with us for that. He's my guest, joining me for a conversation here on PM Express with 12 days to go here on PM Express. Stay with me. And thanks for staying with us here on PM Express. And my guest is with me. But as you know, PM Express is always brought to you by Syntex Tanks. It is strong, it is tough. Academic Times Pepsodent Cavity Toothpaste. And the Academic Times Ghana is an incoming graphic and online publication aiming to collaborate with university authorities and students to ensure that student research is published in some reform. And then you have Syntex Tanks, which is asking you to get ready for the biggest giveaway from Syntex Tanks. Syntex is visiting 15 communities, giving them free water. And this is to say thank you, Ghana, for making us #1. Now, if you are a community and you want to benefit from Syntex free water giveaway, just log into their social media handles at Syntex Ghana and nominate your community. Syntex Tank, you're strong, you're tough. Now, Pepsodent Cavity Toothpaste is one I recommend every time we eat. Food and sugars are trapped between our teeth, leading to decay, gum disease, and in some cases, foul breath. Brushing your teeth every morning and night with Pepsodent Cavity Fighter gives your teeth the protection it needs. And so find one and get one, because it comes in different packs, but also one that you can afford. My guest is joining me now for a conversation. He is Kyerematen Owusu-Agyeman. He is the chairman of the National Council of Elders of the NPP. But he also used to be a member of parliament, and he was in parliament for 16 years. So he knows a thing or two about how parliament works. And as you know, parliament is still indefinitely adjourned, although it is needed to do some work on the back of that controversy that erupted after the Speaker of Parliament declared 4 seats vacant. The Supreme Court has settled the matter, but we still wait to see what will happen in the House after the Majority Leader, as you know, had attempted again to get the House to reconvene. And so we'll talk about that too. Thank you very much, Mr. Owusu-Agyeman, for your time on PM Express. And I'm happy to have you.
Long time.
It has been. It has been a long time.
Yes.
You have 12 days now to go. before D-Day. You've been there. You've seen it all. Do you see anything different about this year's elections?
Yes, I do.
Or you think it is business as usual?
Yes, I do, for the simple reason that we have a candidate who is very enthusiastic, full of energy, ideas, and every constituency he visits, he brings out a new idea. But above all, he's a man of the times, because what the situation was in 1992, 1993, is not what the situation is now, i.e., there has been a change in the dynamics, the global dynamics, national dynamics, all over the place. And this man has now adopted strategy, the way forward to tackle these issues and to make sure that our country is competitive vis-a-vis the global situation, vis-a-vis things that have to be done by various countries. I mean, if people talk about, say, let's say Rwanda, this is what he wants to do. He wants to move the country from where we are to a completely different pedestal. And then we will be able to do that. I have absolutely no doubt, there's no shadow of doubt, that he is the right man at this point in time for our party. Not forgetting the fact that when you form a political party, basically you are supposed to win elections, then be able to use that authority that has been given to you by the people to sort of pursue the agenda either of your party, the philosophy, and what have you. And I believe that this is the man who can do that. This is the man who has ideas. This is the man, sometimes he's even ahead of his time. But that's what you need if you want to make a change in the situation, the total situation of the people.
I want to take you to the year 2000, and you were there with former President Kufuor and co. And when he coined that phrase, there was sitting bapa. If you look at now where the economy is now, isn't that Dr. Bawumia's biggest threat?
Well, there is a problem if you just oppose that vis-a-vis what at that time we used to our advantage, certainly. It will seem that coming from graduating, so to speak, from COVID to where we are, there are a whole lot of problems. And there have been difficulties as far as the economy is concerned. So that is, the people, especially those in the urban areas, there are problems which they must tackle. So if you say, Showa system network bapa, I mean, look at where you are. But on the other hand, the totality of what has been done nationwide is way beyond that time where we thought we had a slogan that was saleable, that we could use. And yes, people will have to look at their bottom, but bottom line, if this nation is moving forward, and indeed it is moving forward, then people must also recognize the fact that there are difficulties in a situation, in any human institution, in any human organization. There will be difficulties, there will be up and downs. It's not always a pedestrian which goes without a bit of a dip. And this is a little bit of a dip, but I believe that when you sum up the totality of everything, you will find that even if NPP.
You make a point about acknowledging that the difficult times. You think your party has done that they have acknowledged that, yes, we are in difficult times, as they've been campaigning over the last few months?
Oh, yes. There are certain things you cannot run away from. I mean, if you used to buy a ball of kinky for, say, 3p, now you are buying it for 5p. Quite obviously, you know the difference. So the people are awake, their eyes are open, but they know. If I am now buying the kinky at from 3p to 5p, what else am I getting? Vis-a-vis my own personal development, vis-a-vis my own development, the development of the nation, and what is going forward.
But has the party acknowledged that, though?
Well, the acknowledgement, I don't think...
And the government? That Boakye obviously is the vice president of.
Yeah, Chief Evans, I don't think it really have to come and say that we believe that there are difficulties A, B, C, and D. But the difficulties, there will be. Difficulties there are, and we are determined to face it, and we are determined to resolve it. And what is interesting is that what we've put on paper, by way either through the manifesto or wherever you are, what we are talking about, believe you me, these measures, if well executed, monitored, and chaperoned, would certainly lead us to the promised land, where we would be able to make sure that we have not shortchanged anybody in this nation when it comes to what we should be doing. So I believe sincerely that, yes, acknowledging the difficulties that we have does not mean we are running away from them. No, you can't. I mean, facts are facts. So we will face them, and we shall do what we have to do to make sure that our children and our children's children will have a country which has a completely different orientation, and which then believes in helping the people and taking the people from the quagmire of poverty and bringing them up. It's absolutely important. I believe sincerely that we are breeding true to type, so to speak, and we are not in any way doing anything that will shortchange the people of this nation.
Give me your view of Dr. Boakye, the campaigner, on the trail. Now he is the man on the ballot. He's been number 2 for a long time. This is his opportunity to now lead the party into an election for the very first time after, helping Dr. Kufuor for all these years since 2008. Has he met the expectations you had of him when you first saw him?
Yes, I happen to have been privileged enough to work in every African country here, in every African country, when I was chief of the Regional Bureau for Africa. I know every African country. I know what the problem they have been through, and I know what has been the relationship between the number 1 and the number 2. Now, I believe sincerely that Dr. Boakye is the man who, at this point in time, will take us to the next level of development. When they came, a few things needed to be stabilized. And then we had to go digital. And this is important. For me, yesterday I was 83. I don't know about digital.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
I need it.
Yes.
And then I think that he knows where we are going. When these, whatever they call it, taking medication from one place to another and making sure that the people in the remote areas receive them and all
the zip line delivery of the drones, the drone delivery.
Brilliant. I was quite excited when a credible American presidential candidate said, Ghana, look at Ghana. Maybe he's a bit ahead of his time, but he would pull everybody along with us, and believe you me, he would do. Boakye is the right person what I've admired about this young man, and I call him young, 60 is not too young, but I call him a young man, is his humility, his ability to listen, and then to make sure that action is taken also on that front.
You've given him counsel?
Say that again?
You have given him counsel yourself?
Oh, yes, yes. We meet, he comes to us as elders, speak to us, and he says, I am not going to protect the tradition, and I am going to do what is right. And so here we are trying to blend what we know from experience and what we know by projection going forward, and then blending the two together and taking the advice. President Kaunda said, yes, you can do anything, but you cannot buy experience. So in all these conversations that we have, and they are very relaxed conversations, not that we are going to a ball, so you go crouching and then no. We meet, we talk, then we do make him understand what our problems are, what we've had also on the ground at our level, because the society is stratified, if you like, and those of us who are old, the elders, always make sure that we share with him our ideas of this place and elsewhere. Some of us had the privilege of being exposed to what had been done in Singapore or Malaysia, or any of these things, and it's coming on. And I am excited. I am excited. My only concern is the posture of the major opposition party.
What's wrong with that posture?
The posture, for me, is not right. Because it would seem as if that they assume that they have already won the elections and that if they don't win, then something has happened. Believe you me, if you bring Jesus Christ from heavens to come and become the electoral commissioner, they will still complain. And these complaints, it's not helping anybody. And these threats and what have you, not helping nobody. And this has permeated the society to the extent that even at our legislative organization, i.e. in Parliament, things are not working the way we expect it to work. And they owe it to us in Parliament. The people, it's not their property. It's not the property of the Speaker. It's the property of the people of Ghana. And so they must listen to us and move on. But it's not, I mean, sometimes in my quiet moment, I feel like crying.
Why?
Because when I was working for the United Nations for 20 years, I decided to leave as chief, and at the expense of sounding immodest, it would have been that I would have been the next Director General of the FAO. But I came, and Dr. Sefwood, all of us working, hoping that what has been achieved elsewhere, we will do it here. Of course, interruptions here and there by the military and what have you created a whole lot of problems for it. But that notwithstanding, we knew that we will be able to make this country become a great country and move forward. And Africa, the world, would respect Ghana for what it is, for what it's been able to achieve and build upon. But we cannot at the same time forget what were the difficulties before then. If I told you what I went through as a student leader when I was General Secretary of the NUCS, of the National Union of Ghana Students, what I went through, that sleeping in the forest because Nkrumah wanted to put us in jail. Meanwhile, they have put 3 of them in jail. Justice Kluje, you must have heard of him.
Yes. Supreme
Court judge. And then Evans, much like you. And then there was Ismon. And then Mensah. He came then, put it under the PDA, Preventive Detention Act. And I managed, at that time, I was doing agriculture, so I was in the field. So when the word came that they were rounding it up, I had to stay somewhere. But so whatever Nkrumah did or did not do, for me, yes, it's not my freedom that must be sacrificed absolutely and completely for what you want to do. So in all these things, you find that there is a need to pay attention to our common humanity and the need to make sure that people will also benefit from what we are doing. Because if we don't, it doesn't help anybody.
You think that the government in power, you've mentioned the NDC, and you've made the point that it scares you the way they're approaching the elections. But they have legitimate concerns, they believe, that must be addressed. All parties in opposition do this. Your party did it when you're in opposition. You raised concerns about the Electoral Commission. You, in fact, hounded, it's been said, Charlotte say out of office.
Even concerned they would always be. Concerned they will always be. I don't know of one jurisdiction where there are no concerns of the other side of the political divide. Concerned they would always be. And what we have to do is make sure within these reasonable concerns, but not going complete extraterrestrial or something and think that we must do. I believe that I heard one of them say, oh, all that is required now is for the first time they addressed were Madam G. Mensah to give me the slot and say, you are now the President of the Republic of Ghana, go ahead and do it. It's not, look, this elections, it's not a done deal. Absolutely not. If you know what is happening in the villages and
what's happening? What's happening in the villages?
No, if you go, you see. I mean, I was shocked when I traveled one day. I was shocked when I came. I saw this little thing here. And that's the smallest of things. At beach here, a landing right for the fishermen. And when I see all these things, then I know that things are happening. You go there. I was taking a look at the list of hospitals they have there, over 38 of them. And then small, that's the major hospitals, small ones, over 40 of them. The roads are being made, the schools are being made, the free education is there, and everything. Look, if you saw what the Minister of Education had to show to the Ghanaians what was done, I'm sure you would have been more than impressed. Today, somebody wrote, a very responsible journalist wrote to say that maybe the best thing to do is to make him Minister for Education for life. But we are doing them. There are problems. We have had problems. We've made mistakes. And I said the obvious vote-catching projects that we should have done, sometimes we did not do. But this is life. C'est la vie.
So one last thing on your flag bearer. You're a founding member of the NPP.
Yes.
Did you ever imagine that you'll have a presidential candidate of Northern extraction? For a very long time, there are many who said the NPP hasn't got space for that. Now you have him. He's a Muslim. And some say that may count against him. What's your own assessment?
You see, I think it's a whole matter of people not really understanding the philosophy and the posture and the understanding within the UP tradition. Initially, when we started, those from the north we had only one, and that's only one from the south, and that was given to Buzia. And so Dombo and all these other people, CK Tedam and all of them, came in and they say, you take the leadership. I mean, that I consider a selfless, dedicated. We said, we believe that we won, but you take the leadership. I had to do that once upon a time when we come chat. I also tell you.
So the founding members of Northern Extraction agreed for the
let me finish that.
members to take the
So
leadership.
being from the north is no disadvantage. Indeed, I think this gives us an opportunity to exhibit absolutely clearly, without any shadow of doubt, that whether you are from the north, or the east, west, south, you are capable, you can become the leader of our party. And very interestingly, Dr. Boakye has shown that he can do that. I mean, he gets on with everybody. He goes to church. I'm a Catholic. He came to Catholic church, and the thing we do, he does the same thing. I don't know of one country which has only got one group of people or one religion. There are a lot of them, and we have to accommodate each other. It's a symbiotic process. We all have to accommodate each other and be there. So this and be able to move forward. So this gives us an opportunity to tell the whole world that we are not anti-North or anti-this or anti-that. And that if some of us are Muslims and some of them are Christians and some of them are Buddhists and some of them are... At the end of the day, we all get on to move this nation forward. What's important is the welfare of our people, and that's what we are working on. So I think that this issue of not getting a northerner and that is not even, but the thing that because the majority of the people were in the South, so quite obviously, Evans, if you go for voting elections at that time, before we all sort of, quote unquote, open our eyes, then you had to say that if I went to, I remember telling Rawlings when he was shouting on the telephone, he called the regional minister to bring me to the residence so they can talk to me. It was a lady called Patience Ado. And Rawlings started shouting, shouting at me. I said, wait a minute. You have to be very careful. And said, you arrest me. If you touch me, we will burn this town. And it will be on your head. So, there's absolutely, so my people were with me. And so because we had the majority, that's why for the longest while, we found that when we vote, then the vote tends to come to the South. And then the nomination, we always had to make sure to balance up from the time of Aral Al-Hassan and all the rest, and Aliu, we made sure we took somebody from the North.
You're giving me your assessment of the Vice President. Give me your assessment of his running mate, Dr. Mato Poku Prempeh.
Yes.
You've seen him in action.
Yes.
What's your view of him?
I think that as a politician, he's very good. And I am told that as also a doctor and a surgeon, he's also very good. I mean, he has what it takes. He may make one or two mistakes here. And when you stand on that platform, believe...
But you acknowledge the mistakes.
Sorry?
Can you afford those mistakes, though?
It wasn't a mistake like if I want to mention Evans, then I go to mention maybe Ashigbe or something. It's human nature. It's a slip of the tongue. And sometimes when you are really worked up, you tend to lose that. I don't know of anything that Napo, as they call him, Matthew, has done, which may be seen to have been caused us any disaffection or any problem. I think that he's doing very well. Today you see him up Western North. The next day you see he's in the... I don't know how he does it, but he's got a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. He wants to move on. And I mean, he's young, articulate, but sometimes we all make mistakes. They are human beings. So there are one or two mistakes I know. When the first thing when he spoke about Kwame Nkrumah.
You think that was a mistake?
Well, for the people who don't know the story, they think it's a mistake. Me, personally, if I say the same, I can prove it. What Kwame Nkrumah did to us, or Rawlings did to us, did you know that you could not form a political party in this country in 1992 until you surrendered your document of your house? As I speak now, I was the very first person to build in East Legon in 1975 when I was the UN. I was the first person to bring water to East Legon, electricity to East Legon, and all these things. And then what happens? He comes and he says, oh, I have taken over this, I've taken over that, I've taken over this. No, it doesn't work that way. So what I am saying, that if you give the people a chance, they'll do what is right. But if you try to impose upon them something that they would not be doing, then you have a difficulty. And so the point that I was trying to underscore vis-a-vis Rawlings was the fact that whatever he did, for me, I don't know what the NDC would say, but we had to tolerate everything. And Darocha, our chairman, said we would do business with them in the interest of this nation. And we did business. And now, for the longest while, we have this democratic system which we are working in.
Yeah.
But I want all of us to have Ghana in our heart. I want all of us to do what is right and say that we will let this nation move on, but not the fact that I'm winning, we are winning. And sometimes I'm very distressed when I see all these fights in some parts of our country, and that it's not helpful.
Let me come to the internal party dynamics. You are the chair of the party's Council of Elders. One of the biggest challenges you face going into December 7 is a sheer number of independent candidates who are breaking ranks from the NPP and choosing to go independent. In Ashanti region alone, you have 22 independent candidates. 22. I'm not saying all of them are from your stock, but majority of them are from your stock. The most famous ones, obviously, I'm sure you know, Cynthia Morrison, former minister, now going independent in Agona West. You also have the Suhum MP, who of course was part of the group who got Parliament on apart in terms of the division along whether to declare the seat vacant or not. That must trouble you.
Well, the independent do trouble me. I spoke to Cynthia Morrison myself. And you can also add that Alan Kyerematen to the group.
Yes, Alan Kyerematen, exactly.
You can allow
the Ashanti region problem.
So those are the ones.
And Alan must be somebody you know very
well.
People,
I believe that the basic thing is that people don't appreciate the fact that when you go into an organization, to a political party, you must always be the person to be elected. No. At one point, I told President Kufuor, I said, Nana-Addo is more popular than I am. I may have other qualities, but when it comes to popularity, he's more popular. And so let him be.
Kufuor wanted you to be?
No, because it's there, open. I don't think anybody has mentioned it, and I've never heard anybody. But at Jackson's Park in Kofridia, says our party work is stratified. Aram Ponsa and his group would go. It's our time I become the president. And when I leave, then he said, quote and unquote.
Who said, by the way?
President Kufuor. On the platform, the next group is Kufuor, Hackman, Osaf Mafu, and Adu Kufuor. He said it, and nobody can deny that. That's what he said. So we thought that's what it was going to be. But then from nowhere came Kyerematen, because he had tried to, the fact that you have tried to become a flag bearer in the past does not mean that it's always there. Nobody, I will tell you, nobody. As the first national treasurer, at that point in time, because we have a lot of difficulties, the party was run basically Darocha, Jenny Boasin, and myself, and nobody said anything about it. So then you saying that, how would I put it now? That he would... Sorry?
It was his 10. He believed it was his 10. If you're
talking about. Yeah, exactly. It was his 10. So at that time, as far as we know at that time, we all thought that President Kufuor was supporting Kyerematen. You see. And so maybe at that time, he thought he was the best man or whatever, and the rest. We all went to him and said, hey, why are you doing this? He said, well, nothing. All of you have the free will. So everybody, that's why you got the 17 of us all competing. What President Kufuor has done for Mr. Kyerematen, I don't think he's done it for anybody in this party. And what's important, and I don't think it is Kyerematen who, Mr. Kyerematen, who sort of said, he says 70% of what President Kufuor had to do came from him. Where was he? I can tell you, as foreign minister, he was my ambassador to Washington. And one of the biggest things we did was the HIPIC, if you remember HIPIC.
Yes. Highly
indebted poor countries. And when we're taking that decision, the people who were there was President Kufuor, J.H. Mensah, Osaf Mafu, and myself. And then Baroness Amos and Baroness Chalker from UK, and the British ambassador in the house. And that is when President Kufuor, and nobody else, it was President Kufuor who decided we shall take the HIPIC one, it will yield result. And it did yield result. And so if you sit in Washington and say that I gave him the idea, I can't see it. And so some of these things, I can go on and on and on, because when I came from the UN, my commitment was to the party. I did nothing but the party. The constitution was written in my house. Our first manifesto was written in my house. My house was the meetings, and then every 2 weeks we went to Mr. Kyereku's house for the meeting. I did nothing but work for the party without getting bought in. So if he had done this, and at that time, you see, for example, at that time I thought I had the capacity to be president. But now I don't have the capacity. Why? Because what we're doing at that time is different from all this digital and AI and all these things. So if at that time, President Kufuor thought that even Kyerematen was the man of the moment, then I said, of the moment. Now he moved on after almost 20 years, and he believed that this is the time to move forward. So it's Evans Mensah or somebody else who should do this. You should understand. But to ask, you see, for me, it's the height of impunity to ask what has Boakye done, why you are supporting him, because you heard him read this. And it was rude. And everybody in America, you know it better than I do. During this last term, Clinton, Barack Obama, all of them, weren't they supporting the party of man? It means that President Kufuor is a true UP party person.
When President Kufuor endorsed Boakye recently, that's what you're referring to.
That's where I'm referring to.
Alan Kyerematen says his posture on the matter is a blot. Is a blot on his record.
These butterfly people, they don't understand politics. It's not, if anything, it is what would show people that the man is a party man and that he will do what is right for the party. How can that be a block on him? He is entitled, one, as an individual, is entitled to his views. Two, you have been the president of this country under the auspices of our party. And now we have a party. Can you do anything else but support that one? The only person I know who was not supported by his people and still won was maybe Trump. I never saw any of the former presidents of
publicly
back him. But so what Kufuor did was absolutely right on target. He says, this is the nomination of the party. We've been through the processes. He's won it. So we are with him, and I believe he has what it takes.
But considering the relationship Alan Kyerematen had with Kufuor, he was hurt.
He can be hurt, so what? You know what was also done to me? I mean, look, people must get it out of their mind that they were born to be president, they were born to be this, they were born to be that, they should be there. Why should he be head? He picked you up, said, he told me, we appointed you ambassador to Washington, then you came back, then you went to trade and industry. He done everything that he had for you. In fact, since this thing happened, a lot of people have sent me note that when I was also competing for it, went to the north, when we're talking, he brought there with an aircraft. He flew in with an aircraft. Then everybody went and displayed everything. So he had done everything for you. So if he says now that under these present circumstances, the person to be the leader of this party is Bawumia, then you have to accept that he has thought through it. I mean, you say that you are close to him, you say that you work with him, and he says Bawumia is the person to do it, then let it be Bawumia. But to say that what he's done this and he's questioning his integrity and what have you and the rest is completely out of order. Absolutely. And it's about time the younger generation, he's not setting up any good example for anybody.
Considering what you said Kufuor did for him, is he being ungrateful?
Who's being ungrateful?
Is Alan Kyerematen being ungrateful, considering everything you said Kufuor did for him?
Yes, that's precisely what, even that's what I'm saying. He has helped you a lot. He wanted you to be president. You didn't do it. But at that time that he was talking about, when they started the Young Executive, supported by Dr. Kwame Safuedu, they were having the meeting at Osei office, Mr. Osei's office. When they started, he was leader, and they wanted him to be a candidate. A group of people wanting you to be a candidate does not mean that you be the candidate. You get my point? So he said that they begged me to step down for him. Nobody begged him to step down for anybody. At that point in time, the first one was Adu Boakye. And I must let the story of this thing be known to the people. It was Adu Boakye. He won it. The next time we were going around, we still had Adu Boakye, Safuedu, Kufuor, Dr. Selby, all of them were there. So who it was going to beg? Did it make any difference whether Kyerematen was begged or not begged, or to come out or not come out? He was not going to go anywhere at that time because the people who were the main people there was Kufuor himself, Dr. Safuedu, and Adu Boakye. And so to say that they begged me to stop to do the no, it's not right.
You are close to...
And then just to add a little thing. So when he's done that, and you come and say that, I find his posture and what he said. Somebody showed me a little clip in your modern thing, what do you call it now? I thought it was very insulting, very, absolutely out of order. And I said it was insulting, it was out of order, and I should not do anything. Then I reminded myself, after all, you know the lifespan of a butterfly?
Tell me.
2 weeks. The best butterfly time is 1 year. The best, the strongest butterfly is 1 year. So this is a passing phase. And if you get annoyed, if you go into a people, work with the people, and you don't get what you think you want, and so you take that as if you are playing a football with children, and then when you don't score, then you play the football under your armpit and go away. He did it to us once. At that time, I said, good riddance. The only thing that my regret, I didn't write it down, but Darocha wrote it down in the paper, said good. And then you come again, he said, 1 or 2 of your boys have been manhandled. In a nationwide, if you like, elections, if 1 or 2 people are manhandled, it shouldn't happen. But if it happens, is that a reason why you must leave?
Let me ask you, finally on this. You are close to former President Kufuor. How does he feel about what Alan Kyerematen said about him recently?
Trouble is, I haven't seen Jack J for some time, but I would go and see him. But I believe, from what I hear, that he wasn't happy at all. But you see, he's all forgiving. Kufuor is an all forgiving man. We all had our problems with him. He was a good leader. He listened to people. and we do a few things. And one day, when you have time, we come and chat about his leadership style.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how he thinks, but I believe
and very finally, on the subject of broadly the independents were running, you said you spoke to Cynthia Morrison.
Yes.
Well, how did that conversation go? Did you make any impact at all?
Well, I thought she was a good niece of mine, but she was so bitter. She wanted to go independent. When I spoke then to our General Secretary, I didn't even know that. The General Secretary said, well, there were 5 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the primaries, and she was number 5.
Yeah.
And but I told Cynthia that, please, what you are doing is not right. You go in, they may be ups and downs. Look at this girl from Western Region, Catherine Feku.
Yeah.
Feku, whatever it
yes.
is. She goes, she loses, she comes in, but still with the party.
Yeah.
And not that because you didn't get the situation, or if you feel cheated. We have several instances of communication and resolving issues. He never came to us.
But you think that she's not the only one? As I said, in Ashanti, you have 22 independent candidates, and that's your stronghold. You think that will affect your chances in the elections generally?
In her place?
No, generally, considering that she's not the only one.
Well, quite obviously, in elections such as this, one vote is very important.
Absolutely.
And it might take some votes away.
You think that may be your downfall this year?
I don't.
That may be the fatal blow to you.
I don't think that. I really don't think that.
Because you have a presidential candidate from your ranks, then you have several, and we can count more than 30 of them spread across the country who are aggrieved and are going independent.
I tell you that the Butterfly's presidential candidate, I don't think my thing is when the interesting thing, one of our people who was senior to me in the party, he did the first time, he lost. The second time, he lost. The third time was going again, was asking me to help me. I said, wait a minute. I know you are my idol, but I mean, what is this? And then he says, oh, in Chi, Bushman ni call him Mensah. And I said, no. So if you believe that he's the one that's going, all right, fine. But whatever he's done, I think people will now see the sort of person or people that's there. If you leave a political party and you go, all that you do is to insult not only him, some of his senior aides also insulting. I think it's absolutely...
At the parliamentary level, though, will that be your undoing this year?
No, I believe that we've noticed, we've realized our problems, and we should be able to organize ourselves. I am very disappointed in Parliament, though.
Yeah.
But I think we should be able to reorganize ourselves and make sure that we get more seats. I mean, dropping from 169 or so to 137 gave me a shock.
You think you can recover this year?
Yeah, I think so. We have done it before. When we started, when we were there for the first time, we had 61. Then from there, we jumped 102, and then we were in power.
I mean, having said that, since you're in Parliament, what's your view on the controversy recently? Still, Parliament has been enjoined indefinitely.
I think...
Your good friend, should I call him so, the Speaker of Parliament?
Oh, he's a very good friend of mine. But I think, in this case, let me take my time and explain my perception of this thing. There are certain positions which, when it's bestowed upon you, then responsibilities are put with you to be fair, firm, and make sure that you do what is right. I.e., if I am an NPP man and I'm made a speaker, the least I can do for this nation is to make sure that everything is done within the rules of the game and fair. But I don't get the impression that that is what is happening. One gets the impression that, well, in Parliament, maybe you have not noticed it. Otherwise, knowing you would have come there. is one of the most autocratic institutions in this nation. When the speaker speaks or makes a ruling, you can't challenge him. If you want to challenge, you have to come by way of a substantive motion.
And you were in Parliament for 16 years, so you know what you're talking about.
You have to come by a substantive motion, and the substantive motion must be approved by him before you challenge him. I'll tell you the story of Rawlings. When President Rawlings was supposed to have taken $5 million from Abacha, I moved the motion. I wanted the motion moved. I went there. Mr. Anand said, Anand said, no, you can't do it. And he told me, all these big people came to me at 5 o'clock in the morning, trying to browbeat him not to allow me. So for the first time in the history of this country, he did a written response saying no. And then I said, you can't do that. By the laws, I'll come by a substantive motion. Then his own people, the NDC people went to him and said, don't know like that. Then he said, you forget. Then that I respect that man infinitely. He said, I am a judge. I'm not a barrister. You're telling me you have ruled against somebody and you prevent him the opportunity of going for appeal? It won't happen. He said it will not happen. And apparently he had a big problem. He had a big problem with his own people. So it has to be the fact that so the speaker is so all-powerful. It's all-powerful.
And you think Babwin is not using the power fairly?
No, I am saying when you go in a nation, when you are given a certain position, then you have to detach yourself from political parties.
He hasn't?
Exactly. And be fair and firm and make sure that what will move us, this nation forward, is what to do. Whether it's by way of dressing or not dressing or anything, I don't think. It's a hallowed institution, so there's a halo around you. And when you are given it, and I believe that my friend must calm down, move from Olympus's height and come down to earth and say, this is what we have to do. But what we have to do should be in the interest of the nation, not in the interest of who has power, who is number 3, and who is not number 3.
I need to ask you finally, before we wrap up, what's the Kufuor legacy? In a month, maximum, months and a few days. His tenure is over. What do you think his legacy will be?
Well, that's what I'm saying, that if you look at what he's done, people try to belittle it, but he has got plenty of legacy to show for. Maybe the obvious huge things not. But if you take the one district, one factory, we have one factory in Efijasi, Kufuor, small town. Garments. You know how many people we have? We employ 650 people. And yesterday, I was told by the people we are supported by some foreign company who are bought shares. I was told that we might run a double shift. And a double shift by that time, it's not something that you regulate, you regiment. It's something, if you find that there's work to do, then quite obviously they're going to do a double shift and benefit from AGOA, which was brought in by President Kufuor under Growth and Opportunity Act. Okay, yes. Kufuor, that one, for example, the
free SHS?
Free SHS, and all the hospitals that he has built, all the rules that he has made.
Has he met expectations, though? Considering the expectations he rode into power with, and what he's delivered in 8 years?
Chief, human expectations are very hard, always hard to meet. You can never make it 100%. But the legacy that he has left, he has left us an organization, a country where people can talk. You know, he has kept quiet from all this business in parliament, where people can talk, exercise their freedom of speech, freedom of association and everything. And then saying that what we have to do for this nation is what we must do. I believe that as individual, there are a few more things he could have done. But I have absolutely no doubt that the legacy you leave for this country will be a legacy which is calculated to make sure that whatever is done takes that step forward above there. I was talking to one president a couple of weeks ago, and he said, your man has got a clout. He's highly respected. And so that's what they say, use it. And that's what we are using, and that's where he's been all over, whether it's COP29 or whatever it is. The French have appreciated, the British have appreciated him, the Americans. So he has a legacy to leave. But I mean, quite obviously, COVID-19 and everything must have sort of left the impact, lessened the impact a little bit. But I think he has a legacy, and the legacy for us is to make sure that institutions work, and that's why he allowed Parliament to work the way the Speaker speaks to work. What is interesting that we must also look at it, and next time make sure that we don't make the Speaker the almighty power that he is. That's it. What we must do should be in the interest of this nation, and but going forward, I believe that Kufuor has done so well. No matter what anybody may think, he's human after all, and whatever.
Well, where do you think he stumbled? Where do you think that he may have let himself down and could have done better?
I haven't given that serious thought, but for me, some of the he attacked. Look, national insurance, make sure that it works. National identity card, make sure it works, and all these things. What I think we would have done, which would have maybe gladdened the heart of all Ghanaians, would have been to see more of these highways going up and down and people moving, things like that. But even then, you know that he has to set up the beginning, and Baumia would continue it, so that when you are moving from here to Kumasi, 2 hours you are there, and whatever you are doing is there. So I believe that his legacy, and when he's gone, that's when you see that the things that he has done were what the people needed. I mean, to me to say that you can now go for dialysis free of charge and all these things, that's what, I mean, human life first. And I think, Agenda 111, for example, has been quite effective, except that it was very huge, so we haven't been able to go as fast as we should go. But there's no two ways about that. And besides, he has a successor, somebody who would succeed him, who has worked with him, has appreciated him, and whom we all believe is such a humble, dedicated man that everything that he has to do to carry our agenda forward. The agenda, you want to make it a Kufuor agenda, but the agenda is also the agenda of the NPP.
Yeah, I mean, and that would depend on if you're able to break the 8. Nobody has done that before.
Breaking the 8, we lost the opportunity in 2008.
Yes.
We lost the opportunity, and one of these days, when you are free, I'll tell you how.
You lost it.
We should never have lost that.
Just briefly on that, if you look at what happened in 2008, have you learned the lessons? You think that you're applying these lessons to 2024?
There are few of the difficulties we had in 2008, which have shown their ugly heads this time too. But I believe that...
Such as?
Sorry?
Which ugly heads have emerged?
Oh, this break of Mr.
Kyerematen and other independents.
And all these independents. But I believe that people will know that, bottom line, we would be able to overcome. And these are the difficulties, but these are also hard times, and the world also is hard, but we need somebody who has nobody in our party, nobody has said anybody is going for to be, how would I put it now, to be sort of investigated and whatever, and the rest and things like that. But the previous administration, we had plenty of it. Plenty of it. You know it and I know it.
Yeah.
So we to be there, we shall have the legacy go on. We shall continue. And we have for me, an ideal man who, at this point in time, and it's very important at this point in time, is the best man to rule this country.
Akpon Osuajiman, thank you very much for coming.
You're welcome, sir.
Enjoy the rest of it. And happy birthday again. 83, just yesterday. Enjoy the rest of your evening.